Hi everyone, you're very welcome to our app webinar. Today with me I have Elisa. She is the app promotion specialist here at Google. And my name is Carolina. I work with the agencies in the Baltics. We have drafted a very interesting presentation today for you, covering the top 5 app topics that you have chosen in the questionnaire you have received 2 weeks ago. So these topics are app tracking, conversion optimizer for apps, universal app campaigns, app install campaigns, and the app engagement. So Lisa, we will probably start with the app tracking today, yeah?
Yes, exactly.
So maybe we can start from the first question that I have for you from our agencies. So what is the app measurement solutions we have available for Android and iOS?
For Android, we have a codeless solution available, which means you don't need to insert any code. The information is taken from Google Play automatically. You can set it up in your AdWords account by going to Tools and Conversions and choosing app conversions from Google Play. It also is implemented automatically as soon as you start an app install campaign for Android. As far as other solutions are concerned, let's take a look at this slide over here. So as I mentioned already, for Android, we have codeless install tracking solution. For iOS, we have Google AdWords SDK, which works for Android as well. What it is, basically, it's a free solution. SDK is a software development kit, which is kind of a piece of code that you put into your app. This solution is free and lets you track basically most things. We're going to take a look at what exactly it is tracking on the next slide. And the last solution is a third-party tracking solution or a server-to-server. What it means is many app developers either have a server-to-server solution like in-house or they use third parties to track their app installs and other app actions. Let's take a look at the following. So Android codeless conversion tracking. Here, as like I mentioned, information is taken from Google Play. This tool is tracking app downloads at the time of the install event. It's very easy to set up. So second solution, SDK conversion tracking. Basically, you will need to put the tracking code into the app. The advantage of this way is it is free. What you can track Android install and engagement campaigns, basically everything, all the type of campaigns that you have for apps. You can also track iOS display and video install campaigns, as well as iOS engagement campaigns, which only exist for display. And the last solution, server-to-server conversion tracking. I will name a few of the third parties. However, we don't recommend anything in particular. They are AppsFlyer, Adjust, Tune, Kachava, AppSolver, and it's possible to track basically everything, as you can see here. All the app install campaigns for Android, Android engagement campaigns for search and for display, iOS search install, display install, video install, and engagement display campaigns. The way it works can also look quite complicated, but in reality, it's quite easy. As you see on the slide, you go to Tools and Conversions, you create an app conversion, and pick Setup a server-to-server conversion. It's going to provide you with a conversion ID and conversion label. You copy these two values and insert them into your third-party solution, into your third-party interface, for example, in AppsFlyer or Adjust.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Elisa, for that. So I think we will now move on to conversion optimizer for apps. I have a very important question for you that all agencies are eager to know about. So what is the difference between conversion optimizer and conversion optimizer for apps?
A very good one, again. So a lot of people, especially agencies, think that conversion optimizer for apps is working in the same way as conversion optimizer for the web. It is not exactly true. The reason why conversion optimizer for apps is working, let's say, a little bit faster from our experience is the fact that Google already has a lot of data about the app, which it's pulling from Google Play. Basically, it has all the data about what's going on not what's going on inside the app, but like about similar apps, what people are looking at, what kind of apps what kind of similar apps people are normally looking at. Therefore, normally, from the experience of me, my customers, and my team, it's working quite faster. Therefore, one of the reasons why we recommend to use conversion optimizer for apps from day one is exactly this. It doesn't need several weeks to actually have the data. It already starts optimizing on the basis of the data that it has. However, with iOS, when you have iOS install campaigns, it works the same way, however, just a bit slower. So you might not be able to turn on conversion optimizer for apps from day one. That's why when we create an app install campaign for iOS, we normally recommend to wait for a couple of days. The option will be there in a couple of days when there is a bit of a data, a couple of conversions there. So, any other questions about Conversion Optimizer?
About Conversion Optimizer, no, but there is another question. When can I expect to hit my target CPI?
So, yeah, very good one again. As you know, like on the web, it's normally recommended to wait for around 2 weeks. On a Conversion Optimizer for apps, we normally also recommend to wait for at least 2 weeks. However, what's happening, what we see like from practice, depending on the channel, it can hit your target CPI from like 3 days till like around 14 days. It takes, for example, a little bit longer for video campaigns to ramp up. However, like in most search campaigns and display campaigns, it's taking less time. Another important thing that I put here on the slide, when you're optimizing for conversions in your account, that's actually true for like both web and apps, but it needs to be repeated here. So as you can see in the slide, there is a column including conversions, which indicates which conversion the conversion optimizer is going to optimize on. Here, it's very important to choose just one conversion for one app. So as you can see here, test Android app first open, Android app installs from Google Play. So you just choose one for Android and one for iOS. That's a quite important thing to remember.
Okay, thank you, Alisa, for this. Then we probably will move on to the app install topics. So the first question would be, can you describe the advantages and disadvantages of universal app campaigns for us?
We'll be glad to do it. So universal app campaigns is, as you can see from the name, is quite a universal solution. It is only available for Android at the moment. And what it basically is, it is a campaign which is very easy to set up. Like it literally takes 2 minutes, and it drives traffic from all channels, from search, from display, from video. It's important to mention that it will only work for video if you put a link to a video in the campaign. Otherwise, of course, it will not. So advantage is, like I said, very easy to set up. It's showing quite good results in quite a short time. Disadvantage is you cannot really control the campaign the same way you control the rest of campaigns in your AdWords account. So basically, you will not be able to see any keywords, any placements. You will only be able to see the networks, search, display, and video. However, you will be able to see what is performing best. For example, what's your CPI on search, what's your CPI on display or on video. And you might be able to optimize according to this. Or you might be able to see that, for example, search is working best for you, therefore you might need a separate search campaign.
Okay, perfect. Another question would be, how can we optimize universal app campaigns?
Exactly. So unfortunately, the only way to optimize universal app campaign for now is to play with a CPI. What we normally recommend to do, if you're just starting with the universal app campaigns and perhaps like you never advertised before, the recommended budget to CPI ratio is like 50 times the target CPI. It is recommended because the conversion optimizer needs a bit of a data to work on. Therefore, like from experience also of my team and our customers, we see that it's working better when you're actually setting a budget of at least 50 times the target CPI.
Okay, Perfect. Okay, so the next question in relation to the app installs, can we separate Google Search and Google Play traffic?
Very good one. So, and I get asked that like every day. Unfortunately, we can't. And the reason for this is we at Google also believe it's not really needed because Google Play and Google.com are giving you approximately the same results.
Okay. Okay.
So whenever you create a search install campaign, it's automatically shown on Google Play and on Google.com. For Android, of course.
And in relation to search install campaigns, then what is the best practice that you can share with us?
So the best practice would be, first of all, something that I mentioned before, is to set a budget which is at least 50 times the target CPI. Another practice concerns basically keywords. Unlike what we do on the web, it's very important to actually not to limit the keywords. So we do recommend to put them in broad match or in broad match modifier and to use conversion optimizer. It doesn't matter, like unlike on the web, that you have, for example, some words that are not performing great because the conversion optimizer is there and it's doing the job for you.
Okay, perfect. And in relation to display app install campaigns, what would be the best targeting to have?
So yeah, a very good question. There are a couple of strategies when we, when we look at display ads. We do random network and put conversion optimizer on it. What is random network? It is basically all the categories of apps that you can choose in the campaign in such a way like the same principle is working. It doesn't matter if some placements are not performing great. What matters is we have a conversion optimizer there and it's doing the job for you. When it comes to display app installs, there is a bit of a confusion among some of my clients because it's very important to choose the correct campaign type. So remember when you're doing the display app install campaign, please choose display network only, marketing objective, yes, and install your mobile apps. Do not confuse it with another campaign type, which is ads and mobile apps. Other strategies that we have, like if you really need like a very narrow targeting and let's say random network is not working for you for any reason, you can choose a couple of targeting options in those app install campaigns for display. So it can be installed app targeting, targeting by app category, for example, some finance, some travel, some gaming apps. It can be paid app installer targeting. So, to target those users who actually purchase stuff in apps. A very interesting one is new devices targeting. It works for many of my clients. Just normal placement targeting. So basically you choose the apps that you want to run your ads in. And of course, location targeting. It's topical for many customers.
So we have discussed the search and display. So I think now it's the time maybe for you to tell us more about the TrueView for apps.
Yeah, of course. So TrueView ads on YouTube, like for apps, they actually work in the same way as TrueView would, with the only difference is that the user clicks and downloads the app. What is quite interesting is the fact that there is a new feature available from perhaps no more than half a year ago, which a lot of users haven't noticed yet. This is basically the ability to set target CPI for YouTube campaigns as well. So it's working in quite an interesting way. So I would say from experience, the CPI might be higher than on other channels. However, the quality of users is very satisfying. Other things that I would recommend when you're using this type of campaign is to optimize your video a little bit for app installs. So it's very important, for example, to make the first 5 seconds count, to show the name of your app, to the picture of your app, the icon, and leave perhaps a couple of seconds at the very end so that the user actually has time to click and download the app.
Okay, perfect.
So yeah, let's talk about app engagement.
App engagement, yes. So the first question would be, what is necessary for our agencies to actually start an app engagement campaign for their clients?
App engagement is a bit more technical demanding than the rest of the campaigns you perhaps already have noticed. So first of all, you will need to link your Google AdWords account with a Google Play account, which is the easier part. And secondly, you will need to use deep links, and you will need to insert those deep links into like a certain page of your app and
Mhm.
into the ads. That's the more technically demanding,
Okay.
basically,
Can you
part.
expand what is the deep link then?
So deep links are basically URLs for the inside of the app. So for example, like as you can see here, when somebody is searching for your app and it's showing like as an ad, instead of clicking on the ad and coming onto the Google Play page, they are coming straight into a part of the app which they are looking for. Like in the example here, somebody is looking for a hotel in a specific city. So when a person clicks on it, it comes into your app and straight onto the page where this specific city is listed.
Okay, perfect. And to whom would you recommend it to?
I wouldn't recommend it to very new advertisers, and I would recommend it only to someone who has at least like 20,000 downloads, at least. To be honest, it of
Mhm.
course like varies from business to business, from app to app. Some of my colleagues actually do recommend it for at least like 1 million downloads. So basically, think of it as remarketing, and think about the fact that because it's so kind of technically challenging to set up,
Mhm.
it needs to give you a good ROI.
Okay, and since you mentioned the remarketing, which lists can we actually target?
A very good one. So app engagement, as I already mentioned, is basically kind of a remarketing for apps. As you know, when we set up app install campaigns, all the users who already downloaded the app are automatically excluded from those app install campaigns. Therefore, we can use engagement. So when we do engagement on search, it's possible to set up only for Android. And basically, the only targeting option there is all users who downloaded the app. When we do engagement for display, we call it display, but it's basically AdMob. There are different types of lists available. The easier ones are just those imported from Google Play. It's all users and certain versions of the app. And there is a more, let's say, complicated option. If you're using SDK, a third party, you can create some custom lists, custom targeting based on recency of usage, abandoned cards, so on and so forth.
Thank you very much, Elisa, for the app engagement presentation. Is there anything else you would like to recap on?
Yes. So perhaps a couple of things that I get asked a lot by my advertisers is, first of all, like you before starting a campaign, many people want to know the like what target CPI they should set. It is a bit difficult to tell you unless you have a Google account manager. Uh, but let's say like there are many countries which are quite expensive, just like with AdWords. For example, USA, UK. So, logically thinking, like the CPI normally there is much higher than in some other markets. A lot of times, if you don't really know the target CPI, just try to experiment a little bit. When you start a campaign, another thing that we normally recommend, you start with a certain target CPI. Try not to increase or decrease it by more or less than 20% within the 2 weeks when the conversion optimizer is still ramping up. That's one thing. Then perhaps let's make a short recap of all the things that we talked about today. First is conversion tracking. So yeah, three main options: codeless for Android, SDK, by which I mean Google AdWords SDK, or Google Analytics SDK as well, and server to server or third party SDKs. When I mentioned Google Analytics SDK, it is also possible to use it. However, like most of our advertisers are actually using either AdWords SDK or the last option, which is third-party SDK. Then conversion optimizer for apps. Like we already mentioned in the beginning, it is possible to optimize for app installs, also for app first opens, If you have a Google Account Manager and you would like to know more about in-app events optimization, please do. This is, however, only for advertisers which have like a lot of downloads. This is a beta. And the last one, campaign types. So we have app install campaigns, which are universal app campaigns for Android. We have search app install campaigns, display, and video app install campaigns. And app engagement campaigns, we currently have search app engagement for Android and search and iOS app engagement for display. So yeah, the last thing that we want to mention is if you need any help in promoting your app, please contact your Google Account Manager.
Great. Thank you very much, Elisa, for your expertise. We are very lucky to have you here today.
Thank you.
Thank you everybody for watching.
Thanks a lot. Good luck.